Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or the press, or the right of people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Hey, y'all, it's Mamo, and welcome to Taco Tuesday. I am joined by, I call her Kitten. The kids call her Mugu Gai Pan. She is 2 years old, partially blind, has severe motor skills. They bottle raised her, but we love her. She's just kind of in her own world, and she wanted some attention. I also have a lot to cover this evening, so I'm glad you could join. We'll wait till we get some more on here. So, who we got? Good evening, Margaret. And we've got Patty. How are you? Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, Sandra. So, we're getting a few on here. There we go. Now people are starting to come on. Hey, Robin. I know she's a sweetheart. She's a tortoiseshell. Hey, Marcy. How are you? Teresa, how are you? There we go. Renee, how's it going? Got Mary, Barbara, Carolyn, Toby. There's Linda. How are you this evening? Get some more on here. We've got Donna Wilhelm. How are you this evening? Joan Henry, Tony Wilson, Judy Solis, there we go. Linda Walker, Jody Wilson, get my favorites on there. Got Roberta's on, Nancy, Leanne, Pat Waxman. Carmel was able to find it. Yay. Wendy Allen, Luann Pettit. Luann says, I have a cat I call Kitten too. And happy St. Patrick's Day to you too. Hey, Wendy from California, and Wendy Allen, a good Taco Tuesday to you. Hey, Brenda from the Hamdens. Oh, people, the Hamdens is a lot bigger than Ray. I mean, we're talking a metropolis compared to where I live. And everybody local knows what a joke this is. Hey, Callista, how are you? Susan from Maine. We got Oregon in the house. Jennifer, we got Massachusetts. Rhonda. Hey, Patty, welcome aboard. And happy St. Patty's to everyone, too. All right, we got enough online here. We shall get started. First of all, I want to thank Sassy for all the work and technical support and partnership and ideas and reminding me of life-work balance. Thank you to Jeremy Barker with Obscure Mics for the outfitting and technology to do this. And if you get a chance, follow him on YouTube. Thank you to Brenda Aubrey of Artsy Aubreys for designing my merch. This is one of my signs if you didn't see it Sunday. And, you know, we don't want to offend any delicate ears. But, you know, sometimes I tend to let it rip. Thank you to Carmel for always being there, keeping me straight and helping me with this endeavor and being the shoulder and ears that I vent on a lot. Papa for his unwavering support and being my editor of content and emotion. And I have my intern with me this evening. Intern Dylan. Wait a minute, I got to turn off this one message here. There we go. Okay, intern Dylan. Intern Dylan's here, and he's doing great. Of course, I have to pay him $7 to spend time with his mamaw, but such is life. Such is life. So I'm going to turn over the scoreboard to him. Got a lot to cover. I've got data centers. Sunday, everybody wanted to know about data centers and the SAVE Act. So that's what we're going to cover a lot of. And then we'll go to questions and talking. So first of all, Taco was surprised that Iran did not give up and that our allies are not backing up his move. He was told repeatedly that the Straits of Hormuz would be a significant issue, but he didn't feel it in his bone spurs. So he went with it, and here we are. Now Trump said we will go it alone. Really? Really? Now, I'm not saying Iran didn't need to be checked, but not this way. And even the Bush family built a coalition before they went. Now, Bush Jr. lied about it, but at least we had a coalition built before we went after it. Not Taco, because he didn't feel it in his bone spurs. He also went on to say to the Iranian soccer team that he could not assure their safety in the United States for the soccer FIFA Cup. Really? That's just the kind of little man that he is. Much to Pooty Poo's glee, fuel prices continue to rise, with prices at 103 to 106 a barrel today at closing. With the release of the embargo and restrictions to Russia, Pooty Poo is once again building up his war chest, since the useful idiot in the White House played right into his hands as commanded. So that's what we have there. Now, one other thing I want to slip in there is that James Comer of the Oversight Committee in Congress just issued a subpoena to Blondie Pam Bondi, the protector of pedophiles, and we'll cover that after a bit. So, data centers. That's really hitting the news a lot. It's a really important topic. So I've been digging and I have a lot of information. So if you want to get your pens and papers out so you can argue, Papa and I were at a luncheon today, and a former high school classmate and then co-worker Papa and I worked with, and he's now a Republican. You talk about someone who has drunk the Kool-Aid. It was a very interesting and entertaining dinner for everybody else sitting there. But they just don't see the problem. They truly don't. And they think all of this is fine and dandy. Well, here's the facts about data centers. And I used to be in environmental safety and health. Data centers use 1 to 5 million gallons of water today, unless it's the supersized ones. Now, the ones I've seen are huge. I can't imagine what a hyper data center is. That impacts local water systems, whether it's municipal systems, reservoirs, or aquifers. If there's a drought, that water for human and agriculture is dried up. There are no plans to recapture or reuse the steam, so that water and energy is lost. Now, here's one of the problems with that. If they would spend the money to have a recapture system, they can recycle a lot of that steam because, of course, steam is water vapor. They could also use the steam for power to help with the energy load of these data centers. Why they aren't being required to do that is beyond logic, but Taco has rolled back all our EPA restrictions. He doesn't care about the Clean Water Act or the Clean Air Act, so they can just have at it. The problem is there are areas where they've had these data centers and they've put them into municipal reservoirs, and during drought time or a drought year, they have actually drained municipal reservoirs. On a municipal water system that's based on wells, they just simply cannot keep up with the demand of treated water. Now, we're facing one of those here locally, and they want to go into what's called the Tays River. Y'all ought to look that up. Teays. It's the largest river in North America. It's completely underground now, and it runs right smack dab down the center of Ohio. It's one of the reasons why the Portsmouth, or otherwise known as Piketon, gaseous diffusion plant was located where it was, because it too used, it's now been decommissioned, a phenomenal amount of water, and they drilled right down into this Tays River. So a couple of things that they can do is the water that they use that's then contaminated and doesn't go up as steam, they can inject it back into the ground, into wells. Well, then you're going to contaminate the aquifers. Or you're simply going to release the steam, and the steam may have other byproducts in there from the steam cooling, which would be chromates and other heavy metals into the atmosphere. So it's problematic. The other issue is if they captured the steam, they could actually have a steam generation plant to help with the electrical supply to generate electricity, but none of that's in those. So electrical costs, because of data centers, increase for residential users up to 133%. Let that sit. There are currently 5,427 data centers in the US. They're still building more. Most of the data centers in the US are more than any other country in the world. Ohio has 201 of them and more slated to be under construction, with 54 different operators. So there's 54 different tech companies that are putting up these data centers. And nobody's really clear just exactly what these data centers are doing, other than connecting into this spider web of AI and information and storing information, which puts me back to, please watch the Terminator series. Other than looking at Arnold Schwarzenegger, there is some now really frightening and intriguing things about the data centers. The AI is learning to protect itself. They've caught AI lying to preserve itself. And on the long term, what will it do to protect itself and then put you into Mad Max land? I know this all sounds crazy, but you need to think about it. Anyway, I'm going to talk about just Ohio because that's where I live and that's where I got my information from. But the state of Ohio gave these tech companies tax incentives to build here. That, combined with utility rate structures, passes the electrical costs of upgrading the grid to residential customers, not the data center owners or investors. In addition, local governments are giving additional tax incentives, often without letting their citizens know. So what's the problem with that? Well, we're all facing school shortage of funding in rural areas. Well, if these were properly taxed, you wouldn't have that problem. So they're doing away with a good revenue stream for the state. Remember, we've got to protect the billionaires. We certainly can't ask them to pay their fair share now, can we? I mean, remember what I told you? You need to look and see who's funding these politicians because they're working for the guy with the big pocketbook. They're not working for you because they feel like your vote's solid. So if you are in a gerrymandered district of solid Republicans, they don't give a shit what you think or what you want to do. They're going to go for the guy funding them, which gets me into the things that they're not telling you at the state level and the local level when they approve these data centers is that aside from the massive use of water resources, electricity, and noise, you talk to residents that are already dealing with these, and the noise is astronomical. Plus, it's killing wildlife because of the noise, especially birds, bats that use echolocation, and other animals because they can't take the noise. There aren't many jobs created. Now, I can guarantee you we're going to have a meeting locally on data centers they want to put in on 500 acres of farmland here in the county I live in. And they're going to say, oh, well, we gave them this because of jobs. After it's built, let's talk about the construction. When they build these data centers, they are so specialized that in most rural communities, there is not a construction company that has the resources or the knowledge to build these. So those jobs are shipped in. So that's just kind of a temporary, just like pipeliners going through. So you got a temporary surge of people with their campers there. They're doing the construction and then they're gone. But the permanent jobs are highly skilled technical jobs, most of them programmers that are familiar with AI. We don't have that kind of training in this area. So those jobs are imported into the area. So they're not making new jobs. And did I remember to say that we're only talking 50 to 100 jobs to man a data center and keep it properly taken care of? That's it. We're not talking major jobs here. So they're not telling you that. And those highly skilled jobs come from elsewhere. Data centers continued. Who wins? So we have politicians. I live in Ohio District 2. So our wonderful congressman is a man by the name of Dave Taylor. Now, Dave Taylor owned a big old concrete company, and he was absolutely convinced that his concrete company was going to be used to help build that damn wall. That was his whole big thing, building the wall. The man also likes bourbon, phallic symbols when he plays golf and golfing. He doesn't like to show up. He does no town halls. He doesn't like to show up. He likes to go to big dollar fundraisers, sip bourbon, and get money behind. Well, as it turns out, by looking, do you have that up there? There you go. Look right there at Market Beat. Old Dave Taylor traded early and will make money, as well as the property owner selling the farmland at huge per acre amounts. So he knew these data centers were coming. He knew who the tech company was that was going to build these particular data centers in his district, and he invested in them. You think there's a conflict there? Surely not. These data center companies are also paying a phenomenal amount of money because they need so much acreage. So down here, 500 acres of prime farmland is being sold at $50,000 an acre. Just a ridiculous amount overage. So that's what's going on with data centers. So check them out in the state where you are. And I also think we need to put on the brakes and kind of slow all this down, because these have come in fast. They've come in furious. They've come in with these billionaires who, oh, by the way, Peter Thiel again. Boy, that name just keeps coming up, doesn't it? Remember how these billionaires took this pledge to give most of their wealth away? Well, he's trying to convince them to pull back on that and invest in AI. You can't take it with you unless you think AI is going to somehow keep you alive forever. Now we're getting into a whole nother kind of science fiction. But just think about all that. Don't be so giddy to jump on the data center bandwagon, because that also explains why Elon Musk got into our Social Security accounts, why he was so big on Doge getting in and raiding every bit of information that the government already had on us. Now we don't know where it is, who has control of it, or what they're going to do with it. And that's not being a conspiracy theorist. That's a fact. All right, now we'll cheer up and move on to the SAVE Act. My assistant here.
Where's that? Oh. Yeah, that is.
The SAVE Act. The taco wants it passed now. The Democrats are slow walking it, so they're making them have hearings to where every Democrat gets in the Senate gets to have their say-so. Now, keep in mind, little old Mikey Johnson, he's so afraid. They finally pulled him out of the closet and told him to quit flogging himself. So he got the Congress to pass the SAVE Act. So now it's in the Senate. So old John Thune today on C-SPAN was standing up there trying to convince everybody that, we've got to make sure only citizens vote. And this law makes sure that only citizens vote. Okay. I sat there and listened to that horse hooey today at lunch from my former classmate going on. We got to make sure only citizens vote. People, only citizens have been able to vote since day one. It is the right of a citizen to get to vote. Out of 100 million people who could vote, out of a 300 million people, 100 million people, there have been 77 instances of fraud where a non citizen accidentally voted. I mean, really, this is not a problem. But these are questions that were asked on the SAVE Act. Things like, if you have a real ID driver's license, is that good enough? No, no, it isn't. Will my birth certificate prove even though I has my maiden name? Oh no. No, women, this is something to teach now your daughters and future generations. Do not change your surname because you will have to have your birth certificate and you will have to have your marriage license to prove you were born here, that is you. And oh my gosh, anyone who is transgendered, you have to change your birth certificate and then you can go vote and your names have to I mean, this is nothing but a bill. And then you got to think about home births. A lot of people, there's still people being born at home. My mother was born at home. Or people that have been widowed and remarried or divorced and remarried. You have to show each marriage, each divorce or death certificate, each remarriage. This is nothing but to suppress women. And at lunch today, I flat said, I have to show that stuff, but you don't. So why are you more of an American than I am? And we both held Q clearances. It got kind of quiet in the lunchroom. And he didn't have a good answer for that.
So they're trying to get people not to vote again.
They're trying to keep women
So
from
it's
voting.
just the proficiency tests again.
It's a proficiency. Oh, my grandson has paid attention in class.
Crazy.
Yes, it's just like taking the poll tax or the poll tests back in the days of yore. It says, I'm already registered to vote. And if I'm quarantined, that I won't have to guaranteed I won't have to re-register. No. If they throw you off the polls, and here in Ohio, Frankie LaRose gets a wild hair, where they're supposed to notify you by mail, that's done away with in this SAVE Act. So they're not even going to notify you. The one benefit I can see from this is going to incentivize people to show up and vote in every election, especially primaries, to make sure that you are registered to vote. So if nothing else, this is going to get people to turn out in primaries. And then the big one is this bill is going to do away with mail-in voting. And a lot of people rely on that. He says it's not safe and not secure. We've got entire states voting that way. This is just strictly because he knows he's going to get his ass kicked this fall. So let me continue on. The SAVE Act is trying to make a problem where there is none. Use your 5 Calls app. And other calls or emails to your senators. And this has got to go to the senators. They have got to stop this bull crap. The League of Women Voters are also fighting this. And the League of Women Voters is a bipartisan group of women that want to make sure women have the right to vote. What's wrong?
Let's see the 5 Calls app.
You can go. I don't have a QR for that. It's just a banner. I'm sorry. I have been playing around on this and not keeping my intern apprised. So that's what's going on with the SAVE Act. Go on to number 8, if you would, please. So these are the actual fraud cases. These are facts. And how many ballots, how much fraud. There is no problem. And the interesting thing is in the last election, the voter fraud they did find were Taco's supporters. And the one gentleman that could have really gotten in trouble for voting his dead mother, Taco pardoned. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Bullshit. There is no problem. They are just trying to suppress votes. Okay, we're ready to move on. Number 10.
You mean 9?
No, I mean 10.
Oh.
Or did you do 9? Do 9. Wait a minute. I'm messing with him.
And then you said 10.
So there, make sure you tell them to oppose and all of the bills that go with them. All right. Podcasters like me. Again today, Taco and his rage. Actually, when I say today, it was about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. He just loves being up at 3. The man never sleeps. He wants non-compliant newscasters and podcasters. And remember, I said the word non-compliant. You look at who owns, what billionaires are owning what, who owns X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, WhatsApp, TikTok, Truth, and Twitch. Remember, I've been having trouble with access, and now you're seeing content provider after content provider. You are not hearing from the right that their podcasters are having problems until they snap out of it, like old Joe Rogan, and say, this is not right. This is, going too far. This is not what we were promised. He wants us to be quashed. And he also is saying that any newscaster that doesn't show friendly coverage over the Iran war or his administration should be charged with treason.
Oh my God.
Forget the First Amendment. Evidently, Taco has a problem reading the Constitution. So instead of going by the First Amendment, we should be found with treason. Now, I served this country. I've held a Q and L clearance. I've held a Department of Defense secret clearance. Treason is just not in me, but I am going to speak truth when I see it. So, if you would, when you get a chance, make sure that you follow all of us, any of your favorite people that you listen to, Texas Paul, Tennessee Brando, D-Doll 1960, anybody that you follow that you really like, make sure you're following us on multiple platforms. For me to tell you, the easiest one for you to do is to also follow me on YouTube, because I can tell you already, the Ellisons are messing with TikTok. Now Zuckerberg's starting to mess with Facebook. YouTube is the only one that I haven't heard anything's been messed with, but I think they're owned by a conglomerate elsewhere. So
I just put that up.
And Dylan just put that up. So you can click on the QR code, and that's my YouTube. Now, don't get distracted. Number 11. Don't get
I forgot.
Yeah, he's got to put up in the number 11.
Oops. Sorry, mate.
Don't get distracted from the Epstein files, because Blondie Pambondi, the protector of pedophiles, was subpoenaed by James Comer. Put it up there.
Oh, I did.
No, that's the wrong one.
Oops, forgot to take it down.
There you go. Has been subpoenaed because they believe, and I quote, that she may have mismanaged, that's putting it mildly, the Epstein files. And she's to testify April 14th. Of course, that's going to be behind closed doors. Hopefully, the Democrats will release those tapes just like they did with Les Wexner and the Clintons. So that's the update on the Epstein fiasco. And there again, what is it Pootie Poo's been holding over Taco since day one back in his first administration? What does Pootie Poo hold over Taco that he gets red carpet treatment in Alaska? What does Pootie Poo hold over Taco that he gets him to bomb Iran and release the sanctions on Russia so Russia can level Ukraine? What does Pootie Poo have over Taco that Taco tells Zelensky, whose country was invaded, that he needs to make peace? Yeah, I think them tapes must be dandy. Everybody thought it was little old PP tapes. I don't think that's what it is at all. And I don't think any of you do either. In other news, The TSA continues to work without pay, but ICE, which is under the same department, Department of Homeland Security, ICE was able to buy 11 warehouses so far at several $1,000,000 apiece. And do you know that a lot of those warehouses are owned by Russian oligarchs and these holding companies? Now, isn't that interesting? And that's a fact. Anyway, but those detention centers are not in the original ICE budget. So, if you'll remember back when they decided they were going to increase in ICE, they dumped a crap load of money. These guys are funded for a while, but they've had the money now to go buy these detention centers. And again, originally, they were supposed to get the worst of the worst, people that were already criminals. Well, that didn't take long to round up. And they were supposed to deport them. Well, when they got in trouble for deporting them to other countries into these horrible prisons because they were paying to get to house them, so we were paying them instead of just shipping them home, we got on these detention centers. Now, when did we decide that we were going to build concentration camps? And from 10,000 to 16,000 per concentration camp, it didn't take long before we're going to run out of illegal immigrants. So who are they going to put in them concentration camps? Why do we need to keep buying more of them? Who needs to be re-educated and reintegrated into our society? Y'all better start thinking about this stuff. Because remember, Bergenbau, and I may have said that wrong, over in Germany was originally just to be a re-education camp. Yeah. And then we started building all of those. So just give that a good thought. So the bigger question is, where did that money come from? And if you had money to buy those detention centers, then why don't you just take that money, stop buying damn detention centers that you know you're never going to get to house or finish, and pay the TSA agents? And then that takes care of the airport problem. I mean, Taco seems able to move money around anywhere he wants anyway, so just take it out of that part since it's still under the same department. Take it from ICE and move it over to TSA and pay those people. Simple fix. But he don't want to fix it. A federal judge blocked, thank God, Robert F. Kennedy's new vaccine schedule. And what that means is now children can be properly vaccinated at a young age like they're supposed to be, and the insurance will pay for it. What people didn't understand, when he changes those vaccine schedules or who gets a vaccine, that means the insurance companies and Medicaid don't have to pay for them anymore, or Medicare. So you don't have any way to pay for them and they have to be out of pocket. That's the big deal. But the judge also cited that the people who said that they didn't need to do that were incompetent and not qualified to make those calls. A federal judge also restored VA workers' union rights. Taco said none of them could be in a union and stripped them out of a union, which again is against our rights to be able to unionize. That is federal law, but you have to push it through the court system. So our VA workers now are allowed to be in a union again. And a federal judge this week also blocked Taco's attempt to remove Somali immigrants who are in this country legally because of their status. They're in a protected status because of what's going on in Somalia. Remember, Cosplay Barbie Christine Alm was saying, oh, well, you can go back to Somalia, it's safe. Well, it's not. It's not. But anyway, their protection status is now still held, so they're now allowed to be here, and they are not eating anybody's cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio. So that's all I had tonight. Intern, is there anything you would like to say?
Not really.
No, my intern's done talking, so now I'll take some of y'all's questions. Oh, wait a minute. He's still doing things.
Yeah, and you can.
All right.
Scrolling,
He
scrolling.
is still doing things. He scares me when he does that. And I don't have a wait a minute. We lost banners.
I know things about the data centers pretty good.
Yeah, Dylan has now learned a lot about data centers.
I hate stupid AI. Oh my God.
On this, if you want to know the politicians before, because I know we're going to start having some more primaries, go to integrityindex.us, type in their name, see who's funding them. Leave that up a minute. And again, if you want to look up the Epstein files, it's justice.gov/Epstein, or you could go to epstein.media.
Is that? I hate how redacted most of it is.
Have you been looking?
Yeah. That's
Oh,
terrible.
Dylan, my intern, has been looking at the Epstein files. So see, the kids are onto this, and we need to know. All righty, so let me get back here to that, and we'll go to comments. Here we go. Let me get down here a bit. And Gina says these white Christian nationalists are going to kill us all. Women and girls are going to be second-class citizen if this SAVE Act passes. You got that right. You absolutely have that right. And these MAGA women, just like my classmate that I was sitting next to, he said, well, we've got to stop the fraud. I mean, it got home and listened to John Husted on Fox Noise saying the exact same thing verbatim that I had heard at lunch. And I'm like, oh my God, really? They are that much zombified. And I'm telling you, I'm over trying to change hearts and minds. I'm just done with them. And just like I told you, I mean, in front of everybody, and it was a packed room, I called him out. Everybody got to snickering. And one thing he's talking about our health from plant workers. And I said, well, do you think everybody that worked there ought to get health care for the absolutely? I said, see, I knew you were a closet Democrat. Oh, no. So, I'm just done with them. I am done with this. You cannot fix stupid, as Ron White would say. You can educate the ignorant, but you can't fix cult stupid. And I'm done with them. What'd you do?
You
Uh
have
oh.
a lot of banners open.
Okay.
There you go. That looks better.
I'm sorry. He told me it didn't look good. All righty. Sandra says Utah is a desert, yet Republican state loves data centers. And a new one with glee, think of the new jobs. Never mind the water use in our desert and the cost to rural citizens. And nothing against Utah and California and them. The big idea there is they want to run a pipeline from our Great Lakes out west to fill in the Colorado River. No.
Oh my God.
If you want to be smart, and God knows Taco, now I'm going to stretch it for Taco, but then I did hear him talk about a big valve to valve on water out of the mountains for California.
That's so smart.
Anyway, we need to do our desalinization plants, just like they do in the Middle East, just like they do in Australia. You got the Pacific Ocean there. If they need a lot of water, get it out of the ocean, run it through a desalinization plant, and pipe that water over to the desert, to those data centers. Don't use fresh water. We only have so much fresh water. And then what are human beings and agriculture going to do? Oh my God, there's a reason we have to protect the environment. Maryland, oh gosh, it was almost 80 degrees Sunday. Then yesterday, the high was at 4 o'clock in the morning at 67. At the end of the day, it was 20 some. This morning, the wind chill was 12 degrees. They delayed school by 2 hours, and it's cold out there, and all of my jonquils are ready to bloom. I got buds on my trees. I think this is going to be as beautiful as everything was last year. I think this is going to be a disaster because even covering plants doesn't help if you have a hard, deep freeze. Just aggravating. Okay. Carol said, see one on Route 23 towards Columbus at Rathmill Road. Yes, it is huge. And like I said, the thing that shocked me is how many people have come forward at how noisy they are. You've heard a lot of the data centers are needed in part for cryptocurrency because that is true. And like I said, there's 54 different companies and they've all got their little gigs. So I'm sure some of those are crypto companies. I'm sure some of them are AI. I'm sure a lot of them are just holding consumer data information. And then you've got some that are just simply holding our information to be used at a later date.
I heard that Mark Zuckerberg's the highest supporter of it.
And my intern says Mark Zuckerberg is the highest supporter of. See, you got to have faith in the next generation. They are much more tuned in than we realize. In Nevada, you have solar farms. Could they be? Oh, absolutely, Theta. All of the solar farms here in the East, at least in our region, are strictly to get as much power, and we've upgraded our grid and we've got new lines and stuff, and it's for nothing but powering these data centers. However, they have found the flaw this past week in the solar farms in the Midwest when the tornadoes came through, and it didn't take long. Marcy said Memphis put it in a poor neighborhood. Well, sure they did. They'd rather have a data center or drive the poor people nuts. I can't believe they're putting them in there. Well, thank you very much, Diane. I spent a lot of time on that, but it there again, I guess it matters to you when it comes to your backyard. And I know the farm area where we want to stick one. I also know how our county government works. There again, every office in our county is Republican. Every office to our state house is Republican. Every office in our state house is Republican. So you know what? They're going to look after the bottom line, the dollar. And so they don't care as long as their palms are greased. And at the same token, we've got these data centers going in. Billionaires don't have to pay taxes. And they're having to come back and ask a very poor rural county to cough up some more money to support our schools because they're cutting back school funding on these taxes. They want to do away with income taxes for this damn voucher system. And there you go. But we're building the Browns a new stadium, although a judge finally did get a clown. Karen Peters is on from Wise County, Virginia. Do you think they're going to pass the American Vote one? I hope not. Is that the SAVE Act you're talking about, Sheila? If it is, either we got to fight them. Marilyn says, I find it consequential that all Iranian key officials are being killed with the bombings, but then the demented tangerine turd has his eyeballs on the ground with his son-in-law Jared Kushner and Steve Wyckoff supposedly doing business. Now this is just my idea. I think they kind of played around. If you'll remember way back when, we're the ones who put the Shah of Iran in. We installed him, and that didn't turn out so well. I really think he wants regime change. I think we need to put Jared Kushner, the Jew, in charge of Iran. So I think we need to send Jared Kushner over there, install him over Iran, and then quietly leave. That's my idea. Yes, he and Wyckoff, they know nothing. Wyckoff said today that he really trusted Putin and his advisors. They seem like nice people. An old KGB agent. Oh, my dear God. But yes, everywhere that Kushner and Wyckoff have been sent as special envoys, they also get a deal for the Trump family businesses or for his Affinity Partners business, which is his investment firm, of which Taco owns a 20% stake. So it's corrupt to the core. Karen says she went to the data center meeting, big attendance. Good, Karen. And I hope they do away with that damn thing. What a mess. You'll have to message me later. Let me know how that went. Gina said this is all crazy and for the rich. Like James Tallarico says, it's not left versus right, it's top versus the poor. Absolutely. This is no more. I don't want to hear being called libtards and all this. This is decency for human beings versus the rich who want us to be working for them. This is no different than medieval times when serfs had to work for the warlords and give most of what they grew, most of their stock to the warlords. And if you wanted protected, and a lot of times the warlords would go out and harass your fields and stuff to be able to go into the gates of the castle. You had to give everything you had to the warlords. That's what's going on now. This is as old as that. Okay. Conneaut. Okay, Catherine, make sure you show up and get information because we're not getting the full story and we need to see who's getting funded where and how many actual jobs. And the fact that they are doing this tax exempt from the state level down. I mean, my God, we've tax exempted the richest of the rich, which, as Bernie Sanders has been saying all along, if you get the top 1% to pay their fair share, we would not be in an economic bind. But Taco, in order to get elected, needed money. He got these rich guys in, and this is his payback. Stockton, Alabama, Meta is funding it, which is Zuckerberg's Silicon Ranch, and will build and sell electricity to Alabama Power. Property spans more than 4,500 acres. Yeah, Carmel said that she had heard that a lot of them, they're wanting more than that. And I think that they're going to take over the old Piketon gaseous diffusion plant. Bill Gates has got those small micro nuclear plants. They want to put a couple of those out there. They also want to make the fuel to go into them, which they should have done from the get-go, and then put in some data centers because they've got those big wells that go into the Taze River Basin. Carol, the Democrats are on every station. It's just, they don't get invited onto Fox Noise. And amazingly, the BBC's talking about it now too, really? Which is just stunning. But yes, they're trying to, and then people like me, we're trying to get people out. I mean, you've got to, and the big thing is people have got to stop sitting out primaries. This is not the time to say, oh, I'm independent, I don't want to choose a side. We are down to, you have to pick a side. You don't have to stay there forever, but you must pick a side. And it's, are you going for the wealthy? And are you okay with being their slave bait, which is exactly what they want to make out of us? Because the next thing that'll happen once they get these data centers in, if Taco gets his way, especially with the SAVE Act and with the movement of the white Christian nationalists, the next thing's going to be, we're going to lose more voter rights. And then they're going to hit us on, well, you don't need to make those kind of wages. Then they're going to crack away at your wages. Then you're going to go shop at company-owned stores. Your housing is going to be owned by the billionaires. Listen, it's happened in the past. It'll happen again. This is going to be nothing different than living in a little old mining town where the rich owner of the mines owned it and they owned everything.
So stupid.
So Karen Dunn, oligarchs are running the show, trampling all over everyone. Will soon be another You got it. You got it. And Taco's fine with it as long as his coffers are getting rich. And we got to get Democrats in office. So the first thing they can do is nail him on the emoluments, because then anybody can bring him in. I mean to tell you, he just flat as flipped that off. And that too is in the Constitution. Let me give me some good ones. I was married, never. Yeah. And I think a lot of women are going to be faced with that in the future. MAGA men are scared of what women can do if we truly all get together. So to suppress us, they'll do anything they can. And the other thing, Carrie, is I am so done. This is why I really want to talk to Mary Trump. I need help. I am so done with MAGA women and women supporting Taco and women saying anything that he does is okay. I am just so done with these women that are protecting these pedophiles, like Blondie Pambondi, the protector of pedophiles, like Ghislaine Maxwell, like any of. I am so done with them. And I don't even want to talk with them because I'm just done. How stupid can you be? And it's just kind of like the black senator out of South Carolina was just so shocked and hurt that Trump posted that thing about Michelle and Barack Obama being apes. Really?
What?
You were shocked? That's what he thinks of people of color. How could you not know that? How can Senator Scott be a freaking MAGA Republican?
He
It,
posted that?
oh, yeah, it was bad.
Oh my God.
There are 2 centers in Jefferson County being proposed. Yep. And like I said, they're buying that property up real quiet. Dennis was at the Sauter Township meeting and a lot of Amish farmers there. Yeah, well, they're going to want the Amish to sell out. That will be interesting. That will be interesting. Dennis, I hope you got on early enough that you heard all the information I have gleaned over the day. Susan said in her part of Virginia, this is exactly what's happening. They're pushing for data centers. They already have several in the northern part of the state claiming it will bring jobs and money. Yet the previous governor gave these data centers huge tax breaks. They provide very few jobs, and most of them are temporary for the initial building. They've already raised our electric rates. My bill last month was twice as high as any previous bill. So there you go. And I didn't get you don't have the rest of your message there about Governor Spanberger. But yes, Susan, that is exactly what's going on. Okay. Amish may be our new allies. Thanks, Ma'am, for bringing the data set. You are more than welcome, because that is just yet another. I think all the rest of this, there again, the one thing Taco's good at, we're all looking at this over here while they're doing stuff over there to enrich themselves and impoverish the rest of us. Because most of us, you retire and you think, okay, this is the amount I have to retire on. Yeah, I can do that, can do well. And you budget for that and you're doing okay. And then they start chipping away. And then suddenly you lose your Obamacare. You lose any kind of special Medicare or Medicaid that you had on the side. Then you start getting double electricity bills. You start getting higher water bills, and none of this you budgeted for, let alone higher food prices and higher gasoline prices. So now you have all of us senior citizens, these retirees, and we're like, what the hell? And then how's a new young person going to get out there and get a start? Yeah, it's important. These things are important.
I still can't believe he got reelected. Like, right after his first term, Trump Tower went bankrupt.
See? Dylan, see what I'm raising?
Said, oh, we're going to make the gas prices cheaper. And then they went up.
That's right. The man wouldn't know the truth if it hit him between the eyes. Yeah, Carol, the man does not sleep, which is also a hallmark, having a strange sleep pattern of dementia. Yes, Taco, why did he? He's trying to prove that there was some kind of nefarious thing going on, because he cannot get over the fact that he lost the election in 2020. He lost. He's a loser. He lost. He needs to get over it. And what would it change? Okay, let's say he finds that it was invalid. It was already certified. He already caused an insurrection over it. Joe Biden sat in that office for 4 years. It doesn't change a damn thing. I think what Taco's trying to pull is, You cheated me out of a term, so I should get yet another term. And he's using this as the Save Act. Those little sycophants that are scared to death of him and wearing clown shoes because they're afraid to tell him that the shoes you bought me didn't fit won't tell him, Emperor, you have no new clothes on. You're standing there buck ass naked and the whole world sees you for the piece of crap that you are. I do digress. Yes, we are supporting a crazy man. They are placating a crazy man. All of those rich people know it. Most of his staff, now he's got crazy people on his staff, most of them know it, and yet they are placating a crazy man. Sandy, he has more than a problem with the truth. He wouldn't know the truth if it hit up the side of the head. Carol Scott. Taco has no idea what's in the Constitution and no intention of learning it. Carol, the man can't read. That's one of the things Mary Trump said, that he had never been properly diagnosed or treated because, you know, Fred Trump couldn't have any defective children. He had a severe learning disability. The man can't read. That's why they have to make pictures for everything. He can do the teleprompter. They have to put it in big print. And that's why he goes off script, because he gets confused on the teleprompter. You know, he has done horrible things. Yeah, he has definitely got dementia. Words in the yes, they are too big. They are way too big for him to understand. I don't know what Carmel had on there. Yes, Rhonda, I would love to talk to Richard Ojeda, but he won't answer any of my attempts to reach him.
Yeah.
Richard Ojeda, he's running for Congress down at Fort Bragg, where your dad used to be stationed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Carrie, you're welcome until they send me to my re-education camp at one of those warehouses.
Oh my God.
I'll be warehoused. Let's see. There you go. Because he didn't win, he wants to change it. He still, I know it. He is just, I'm just over him. Just over him. This is why these data centers are being built, so they can disrupt the news. Absolutely. But we are starting our own network. I would love to do that. There again, he doesn't answer many of his comments, and there I can find no way to get in touch with him otherwise. If any of you can, be glad to jump on there. Do you think mismanagement is putting it? Yeah, that'd be putting it really nicely. Taco's addicted to Ritalin. I would say that, among other things. Okay. Morel says, thanks, Dylan. We need you and your generation to stand tall and fight for the future. We old gals and guys have had our time with the planet. We're trying not to screw it up too badly to leave it to you. He didn't sound real confident there, but he's trying. He's going into the medical program at Votech next year. I'm very proud of him. It was funny how he spoke to the former president that said he wished he could have gone after Iran, but all 4 former presidents, they have not spoken to him. He must have spoken to 45. Taco has a lot of conversations in his brain that nobody is privy to. You know, he's always saying, they are saying. And you ever notice how everybody says, sir? He is just really into being called sir. And he talks about how other world leaders call him sir. No, they don't. They call him Donald. And that's to his face. Behind his back, they call him dipshit. They do not call him sir. They are equals. I don't know why he thinks everybody calls him sir.
He just wants to be a king.
He wants to be a king. Very good. I'm turning you into a radical, Dill. Linda says, thank you, Mama, and your grandson for all your hard work keeping us informed. Well, it is my pleasure to help.
Yeah, I'm doing a good job.
And how about Tennessee Brando, Catherine? I like him. I talk to him. I don't think he believes his own lies. I think he believes you believe his lies.
Mm.
There's a difference. I think he thinks anything that comes out of that mouth of his, he is so adept. He is so superior, he can get you to believe it. Now, keep in mind, we have had some really brilliant people sit in that office. Taco does truly believe he is the smartest man on this planet. And that's why, like going into Iran and he'll feel it in his bones, he really doesn't think he needs expert opinion or experts on certain areas. He thinks that he's got it when he feels like it, I guess. Whoops. Here we Well, I'm trying to turn that off. There we go. He called someone else president today. I can't remember the name. Oh my gosh. Our governor made fun of Tacos bullying him after dyslexia. Oh yeah, I love Gavin Newsom. Love Gavin Newsom. I and I've been doing a lot of thinking here, people. Whoever the next president is, and I know we're going to elect a Democrat. I hope they make, now think about this one, Sheldon Whitehouse, the Attorney General. Man, wouldn't he be good going after the corruption in the Supreme Court and the Epstein files and all of that other stuff? Some people have talked about, the former prosecutor of all things Russia, but no, I think Sheldon Whitehouse would be an excellent Attorney General.
Yeah, I don't get how the Republicans would ever recover from this.
Oh, they will, because I've talked to some dumb people. Julia, my hairdresser said to me that Donald Trump is, time to get a new one. Absolutely. I don't know where these people think that Taco's smart. Well, I do,
Smartest man alive, man.
So glad to have you. Yes, Dylan's been fun. Here you go, Dale. Young people today are very knowledgeable and involved. I love to see the students walk out and protest. Great job, Dylan. Look forward to seeing your hand waves on Taco Tuesday. Now, he's here every other week, so he won't be here next Taco Tuesday, but I'll have him for Sunday morning coffee with Mamaw. Oh, now there's somebody agrees. See? Wouldn't Sheldon? I want everybody to follow Senator Whitehouse, and I want you to tell him we want him for Attorney General. I think he would be fantastic. Jamie Raskin would too, but Jamie, he doesn't know how to, he's too professorial, if that makes sense. I think Jamie Raskin's brilliant, don't get me wrong. But Sheldon Whitehouse has got a way of slipping in the shiv and then turning it really good. So that's me. They just ought to let me just man the White House. I'd get them a good staff there. Okay, everybody, I've kept you over an hour. Stay salty. Use your outside voices. Lord knows I do enough. And from now on, don't put up with nonsense. Don't be polite. It's been our silence in being polite when a MAGA person, even if it's a total stranger, says something really stupid, we don't correct them. You can't change their minds, but you can let them know, I don't agree with you, and that was the stupidest thing I ever heard. That's number one. Make sure you use your 5 calls app or email or whatever your favorite conveyance of information is. We've got to stop that SAVE Act. That's number one. That's a big one. Make sure they stay on these Epstein files and follow Sheldon Whitehouse, Senator Whitehouse, and tell him he should be Attorney General. Love y'all. Bye-bye. Carmel says, yes, Carmel, can you imagine me as chief of staff? Oh my God. Please, if you make me chief of staff, please make sure Miller's still there. I would just love to have an hour with Stevie Miller, but I don't think he'd last that long. Bye-bye.